Love yourself.
Express yourself.
Express yourself. Wow.
Just makes me want to like rub my boobs when I say that.
Listen, New York is an absolute
Yeah.
wild city.
I feel like we all think that London is like completely feral and
No.
like lawless. Like, have you
No.
ever been to New York? There's like rats the size
everywhere.
of dogs.
And it smells like piss. And it's just like
let's be real. We don't have OxyContin in this country. Let that be the last bit.
And listen, it's my family. I have family there. My dad was raised there. And my dad does not like London because it's too clean. Like,
What?
I promise you, when he came to my first graduation, he was like, I prefer New York. It has attitude. It's rough. London is too clean.
I know that's not your dad's name. I'm just being mildly racist.
But it is.
Oh, wait, what?
It is.
I thought it was called Juan.
No! My dad's called Jose.
Okay.
Listen, I'm not going to edit that name out because we are Hispanic. So
everybody's called Jose.
But, wow. This is why I have a different name.
Like, I knew, like, don't get me wrong. I knew
it was one of the J's.
I knew your mum's name. Like, I'm not an idiot. You talk about your mum regularly.
Yeah, but
we
My
have
dad.
stereotypes for a reason.
Yeah, and we
Maybe
just
I
proved it.
maybe I subliminally knew it was Jose and just went
Let's
with
just
that.
say it. Anyway, enough about my dad. This is my podcast, not his.
We love you.
Speaking of love, self-love.
'Tis the season to love yourself.
Tis the season to be kind to yourself and be patient.
And I just have to really apologise for the audio because we are drinking energy drinks. So if you hear anything, sorry.
It's the monster season. It always happens. It's kind of nice. It's like every single time we film something, we start off the evening with coffee.
Just the day,
Film.
please, evening.
And then in the middle of it, we get our monsters, have some lunch, dinner.
What are you talking about?
And then continue filming. We don't have our dinner yet, but we have started on the monsters.
I think, do you know the funny thing is though, like if you actually looked back at our catalogue of podcasts, you would fucking know. You would know which one was like post monster, which one was post monster, or like we've never deviated, have we? It's always been a monster. It's because they're fucking huge, aren't they? They're like massive, big, and like we think that you, our lovely viewer, deserves the energy every episode.
Yeah.
However, it
just doesn't hit sometimes.
However, we both work, so 9 times out of 10, we're gonna have to film on a weeknight. So
I think every single time we filmed on a weeknight.
I think we've only ever done like 1 or 2 Fridays.
Maybe, yeah.
It's because somebody's always busy.
I'm sorry, I have friends.
I literally have no friends. I'm not joking.
Okay.
I literally have no friends.
Anyway,
I don't really care. I literally hate everybody equally. Anyway, that's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about self-love. So, dear friend, tell me about your journey with self-love.
It's been a rough one. I don't want to get too deep.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too deep.
I'm a woman in my 20s.
I'm a woman in my 20s.
In London. It's been a rough one.
It's been a rough one. I've been through quite a bit. But I think now, I think I could...
Sorry, I wasn't saying ew. I have a piece of sellotape on my shoe.
I think without getting too deep, it's been rough. There was a lot of things against me when I was younger. And I think coming to London sort of has really helped in coming to be the person that I am.
Like, nothing will humble you quite like London.
But not even like, for me, it's the opposite. I think it allowed me to relax because so much of my life was micromanaged from my parents that was hurting that self-love that I didn't have. That was just like enabling those insecurities. When I came to London and I wasn't like, a lot of it had to be with fat phobia. Like, I'm just going to say it there, and I was...
What, from your parents or just societally?
From both, but my parents a lot. Like, I've been yelled at for eating celery. So the fact that I could...
Celery?
Yes. So the fact that, like, I could...
But that's actually a calorie deficit food.
Exactly.
You burn more calories eating it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is where the madness is. So the fact that I, like, moved to London and I could eat whatever I wanted without being yelled at, that really helped with, like, it helps with the journey of self-love and sort of proving to myself that I can have that small chocolate bar and that donut, because I'm not going to gain 60 pounds from what donut. I'm not going to gain weight from eating, you know, I still take care of myself, don't get me wrong, but I used to feel guilty for eating vegetables,
So
like having seconds. So now the fact that I'm like,
keep going.
Like the fact that I'm like practicing self-love by eating what my body needs, I think that's like, in accepting my curves and stuff, and I think it's very difficult. I was talking to my therapist about this,
Shout out.
especially shout out, but especially like in London, that's sort of when I started becoming like more of a sexual being.
I think because like
And-
in London you can quite literally be whatever you want.
Yeah, like no
You
one
could-
gives a fuck.
You could be Puff the Magic Dragon and ain't nobody gonna say anything.
No one's gonna
about
look at
it.
you.
No,
So-
nobody cares.
That, but also, I had my own space. I had my own kitchen. No one was looking at.
But like, if like to sort of like side with you, I still don't like my body.
Oh my god, there's days where I absolutely fucking
Right?
hate it.
Like, do you know what I
Body
mean?
checking. I am
I don't like my body. Like, it's interesting. So like, I feel like as a woman, particularly, I've kind of just been like, it's kind of been like a weird acceptance thing where I'm like, to be honest, girl, you are never gonna like your body. Like I look at old pictures of myself where I was like the size of a thimble, and I'm like,
I used to hate myself.
I used to
when
fucking
was
hate
that-
myself.
when
I
I
used
was
to
that
fucking hate
skinny.
myself. So I've kind of just been like, with my sort of self love, I've kind of just been like, look, put your body issues to the side, because in reality I am never going to be happy with it, and like focus on maybe something that is slightly more, you know, important to
I
you.
think
Me pointing myself.
I think for me as well, like I was talking like I said, I was talking to my therapist about it, and I was like, because my body has been so badly, especially by people who I care about, it's sort of formed a fear of what people, you know, the men that I sleep with think of it. And it's sort of like that sort of has had to change, because, you know, I've had sex with men who have celebrated my body, and it feels, I don't trust them because my body has never been celebrated.
Exactly, like, what's your game?
And so my therapist yesterday said, if you go to a party, you're not going to sit down on the sofa and not dance. So if they're celebrating your body, celebrate it with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to fucking cry. Because
It's sometimes a lot of like, I think self-love is kind of like, I suppose somebody pointing out to you and going, do you know it's this? And then you're like, shit, yeah, it is, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, fuck, hell, like, it's kind of like a lot of it is, particularly with self-love, I think a lot of it is actually like realizing that the obvious is there, and the obvious is like, oh shit,
Yeah, like,
actually.
I think there's so much, like, I remember when my mom found out that I had stretch marks, she was like, oh my god.
I have stretch
But
marks.
everyone has stretch marks.
I have stretch marks on my
Athletes on the
boobs.
NFL, like athletes on the NFL have stretch marks, and you know, like once, like I gained weight during university, and I got stretch marks in, like, on my stomach, and I only associated them with childbirth.
Yeah.
But like, how beautiful is childbirth?
I mean,
Like, but you know what I mean. Obviously, some people are not into it, but like the idea of like bringing
not into
the
that.
idea of like bringing a child, like, that's what bodies do, and I'm being yelled at, but there's some beautiful things that bodies do that so I think stepping away from that harmful behavior at home definitely helped. And I think now that I'm sort of speaking with someone who also has just gone through like a very severe life-changing accident, that his vulnerability and my vulnerability are sort of in the same, we're quite comfortable in speaking about that, and how can we support each other to go through these. And I think also, because I have been in therapy for a very long time now, I am using the things that I have learned to teach him, because maybe culturally he doesn't get to speak about these things.
Yeah.
And men genuinely, like, just don't have the same space that women have always had to discuss these things and discuss it, like, their body issues, because obviously their body doesn't change as often as women's. Like, God, we get our period, and like,
But I think
we grow 3 hairs on our nipples and like gain 20 pounds. You know, like,
and,
it's
like, the world's falling apart.
yeah. So it's like, I think now I'm confident enough within myself. I still have insecurities and like body check and all that stuff, but I've learned what behaviors help me to then be able to help others with their own journey.
Yeah.
Or take, if I'm feeling 120, I'll take your 80 because I can.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting for me because obviously I'm in the therapeutic field, and it's very interesting because I tell people advice like all day, every day, Do I take any of it? No.
Coaches don't play.
That's it. I think a lot of my self-love is much more about my behaviour and like I said, I don't like my body, but to be honest, I have like done reflection on it, and I'm like, to be honest, I'm never gonna be happy. Like, I was like rake thin. Did I like myself? No. I've been bigger. Did I like myself? No. So just kind of like put that one to the side, and as long as you are exercising and, you know, moving around, like, okay. As long as your clothes fit, fine. Like, do you know what the ironic thing is though? Am I a size 4 and a 6? Yeah. Do I like it? Yeah. I have a gun. There you go.
In a full bar. But listen.
Interestingly, I saw this.
Listen. I think we might be
comedy
saying
sketch.
this. Yeah. Where it says,
"Good pom-pom shelter."
That's something else. I've always been curvy, but during third year of uni, I went through something, and I gained a lot of weight. The fupa
Good pom-pom knee shelter.
The fupa grew. I was forever so, like, I became so self-conscious of it, and I was seeing this thing, it was actually pretty recently, where it was, like, the fupa, and so, like, this comedian was saying how she was really insecure about her fupa, and as Miss Thing here just said,
she was Caribbean. Like,
the guy said, "Good pom pom needs shelter," and honestly, I'm gonna take it.
Like,
I'll take that.
Yeah, self-love is actually. Do you know what it is? So it's a lot of stating the obvious, and a lot of it is literally just shifting your perspective.
Yeah.
To be honest,
But I also hate affirmations.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 about them.
Yeah,
real affirmations, they work for me.
Oh,
I think for myself, to be honest, so like obviously when I was younger, it wasn't about what I looked like, it was about my behaviour. Like, I was obviously very, very naughty, but I fucking loved that. However, was I a very, 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 very angry child? Yes. What was I angry at? I don't know. Did I like myself? Not really. But, like, as I've gotten older, it's more about sort of being like, do you know what? Actually, you are doing well. Yeah. You know, if it's so interesting because so I struggle with insomnia really badly. So I'm like, obviously, like, throughout the day, I'll be shattered. Like, I'm just a permanently exhausted pigeon cruising through the day. Like, not a pigeon, because ain't no animal that's like other than a pigeon. But, like, I often just tell myself, look, you're sat at your desk, you're doing something, that's good enough.
Yeah, I think that's something
else. And it's so strange, because, like, interestingly, like, so I was never, like, that interested in education or anything, but, like, where I am now, actually I'm very ambitious, I'm successful, I would say, for my age. I'm, like, senior operational management, well, not management, but senior operational.
High up.
Senior operational, nonetheless. But, like, yeah, and, like, young me would fucking never have guessed. Like, never have guessed. Exactly, that this would be happening, that I would have the life that I have. And I think with my self-love and sort of my journey, I think back through my childhood, it wasn't that I compared myself to my brother. However, that was happening around me, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah, I think naturally we always compare each other to our siblings.
It was literally just like one sentence that stuck with me forever, and it was literally like, I would almost say, like, the quote unquote making of me. My mum would often say, like, why can't you just be like your brother? Who's obviously well behaved, who's a straight A student. So then obviously that sort of formed my childhood in the sense that I was like, fuck that shit. I'll never be like him, so I'm going to be really bad, I'm going to be really naughty. But now as an adult, I'm actually like, that's okay, that's fine. We're very different, and that's a good thing. But actually,
as a kid,
I'm kind of successful in my own right. However, was I all throughout my teens and all throughout actually quite a large proportion of my adult life, was I comparing myself to others? Yeah.
Oh my god, I still compare myself
kind of the crux of my self-love journey, is like telling myself, actually, like, if I see somebody that's like, you know, maybe for example, like somebody who's younger than me and, like, you know, they're in a different job to me and they're on holiday, like an amazing holiday. Like, one of my colleagues just went to Australia, and I'm like, how can she afford that? Like, I can fucking barely afford this. I have 2 jobs. I have to save up for this. If I want to even go to, like, Europe, I've got to save up. And it's like, whoa, back it up. Like, you know, you are on your own journey. You will get where you need to go, however way you want to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, my self journey is definitely about sort of not necessarily comparing, maybe slightly comparing bodies, but definitely more about my mind and my
Yeah.
thinking and
Yeah.
how to, I think, just be kinder to myself.
Oh my god, yeah,
Oh my
kindness.
God.
That's something that I wasn't taught when I was growing up.
How many
And-
years do you think you've wasted just being so nasty to yourself?
Oh my god, so many, and it made me so sad. Like I was seeing,
It was horrible, isn't
it like I will probably cry in this episode just because I am on my period, but it's also like quite a heavy topic for me because like I see pictures of myself and I was like,
Oh my
I
God.
couldn't.
I didn't smile for years in pictures.
It's not even that. It's just like I couldn't. The things that I've said to myself in the mirror, I couldn't tell to that 6-year-old.
But I think as well, like when
But also have like, this is where a lot of the times. This is where when I become a mother, like I don't want to raise my kid like that
Oh,
because
fuck
a lot
no.
of the times, I didn't the language that I was telling myself.
positive parenting,
Yeah, like obviously with discipline. Don't be like we're not gonna spoil you, but like half of the language.
I will spoil you.
half
With positive parenting.
Yes, but like half of the language that I was telling myself of negative and hatred language came from my parents saying these things to
Absolutely, yeah.
myself. And like if my parents would have said the things that they said in a kinder way, maybe I wouldn't have
Like we forget how important like language is. Like,
Yeah.
not to bring it back to my job, but like
it's not what you say, it's how you
but
say
as
it.
well, like you should never tell someone. I know it's like, oh, it's so ridiculous, and we'll probably get a lot of disagreement about this. You should never tell somebody no, or you can't, or like call someone a loaded word. Like we can barely even say the word like. Well, you can't even say, like in my job, obviously I work in the criminal justice, you can't even say crime.
Yeah.
You have to say offence. Or even if somebody's particularly vulnerable, you have to say behaviour. Like, how did your behaviour get
Yeah.
you here? Like, there's like, oh my God, there's like studies and theses and all this about like purely language because like you may not think it's a big thing, but it actually is. Like, I mean, we'll go on to therapy in a minute, but I didn't particularly get on with it. However, one thing that did stick with me is my therapist said, if you said the things that you say to yourself to a friend or to someone else, would you have any friends?
Absolutely
No,
not.
of course I fucking wouldn't.
No.
No.
I've said some, and I think now that I've like, now my life is a little bit more peaceful. I have more time,
Absolutely.
and I have more time to reflect as well, and like sort of stop myself
I do.
and catch myself and say, do I really want it? Like I would, and my flatmate says it all the time. I'll tell her, hey, I'm having a rough day, and I've said some things, and she's like, would you say it to me? Like,
Yeah,
tell me what you
exactly.
just said to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't have the balls to say it because
Because-
it's so mean.
Because as well, like, self-love, a lot of it as well is about I'm going to stop saying self-love is about. Like, it's kind of like a foundational piece of sort of like ultimately psychology
Yeah.
and what is involved in that. Because basically self-love is a relationship with yourself, and what you need to have a healthy relationship is honesty, trust, respect, and communication.
Yeah.
And like base and foremost, if you can't be honest with yourself, you don't love yourself. If you can't trust yourself, you don't love yourself. You don't respect yourself, you don't love yourself.
Amen.
And if you don't communicate adequately with yourself, like,
Yeah.
that's also going to be like a huge factor.
And I think also, for me, just from going to therapy, I've obviously learned quite a lot. But I think in the last 3 months, in the last year, I'd say, it's just knowing that self-love has different fluctuates. So maybe
Absolutely.
self-love today is just painting my nails.
Absolutely.
And that is all. Or, maybe self-love the next day is wearing the nicest piece of lingerie for myself,
Yeah.
taking nudes for myself, having a great wank, and like that's it. Like it's, maybe it's treating myself to like that donut that I saw in the shop a couple of days ago and I haven't stopped thinking. Like it shows up in different ways, and I think that's something that I'm learning now. I'm unlearning all the horrendous behaviors that I was taught growing up.
I think
That
as
my
well.
value in love, whether it wasn't like internal or with someone, was based on how I looked and my weight and like
Yeah. It's
Then-
interesting that your kind of self-love is quite rooted, I suppose, in like physicality and
Yeah.
behaviours around your physicality and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And that's something that I've now that I've been outside of Spain, I recently went back to Spain in September, and I took my flatmate with me, who she's been to Spain, but just, she met my family, and seeing Spain through someone else's eyes, I realized how everything is directed towards weight loss and anti-cellulite creams. Like, we were looking for just regular hand cream, and there was more like anti-cellulite, like stretch marks cream. I'm literally just looking for hand cream, and there's more option for weight loss pills than there is for deodorants.
Yeah.
What is that? Obviously I have the issues that I have.
But
and
I
like
think
if
you're
it's
quite
not
vulnerable, that could
and it's
be
not
like
even,
really bad.
and it's not even about like how, like, my own aunts, the way, like, everything,
The way that they talk.
not even about commenting on my own body, but the way that they talk about each other and themselves, and constantly bring themselves down because they had a little too much to eat the other day. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to raise my kid like that. Like, I was down for a couple of days after I came back. I was like, no wonder I have the hatred that I have for, like, the birth-giving hips. That's something else. I'm half Dominican. My body is completely different to my cousins.
Yeah.
Because naturally, curvy, like, Dominican women are curvier. They carry a lot of the weights on the hips, and because we're birth-giving women.
Yeah.
And that's not celebrated in Spain. Spain still holds a very Eurocentric standard. So I think because I wasn't raised,
but then
that's not my body type. I didn't feel beautiful until I met my cousin, who is half Dominican, half Ecuadorian, and she's a 5'10" god of a woman, and she's so beautiful. And I was like, which is why I love going back to the DR, where it's like, I don't feel like my body's judged the way that it is in Spain.
But I think then, again, as well, the messages get confusing, because even in sort of Eurocentric culture, particularly, like, with physicality, it's just like a fucking mishmash. Like, everybody is getting fucking BBLs, which is obviously, like, literally, like you say, like, Latin women. As in, that's the traditional shape that you would see for a Latin woman.
Yeah, like, the Kardashians can have wide hips and a bunda, but I can't get it for free.
And then obviously, the, like, big lips is about sort of, like black Afro women, I believe.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But when you see it on the body of a European woman,
it's
aka,
beautiful.
like you said, the Kardashians, or, like, fucking whoever else, we'll go with them particularly because they're probably, like, the biggest issue, I suppose. When you see it on the body of them, because they're traditionally Armenian, I think.
It's fashionable.
But no woman will look like that. Like, you're taking bits. How is it?
You're taking the good bits of things that I was bullied for.
Exactly. How is it possible to love yourself when the women that we see traditionally are like a mishmash of everything, everybody's culture and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like, as easy as it is for me to say, harder for me to do. Like, love what you have, and then
oh my god,
Next question.
Mm-hmm.
Does therapy work? I think we're going to be quite polarizing on this.
I think if you find the right therapist for you, yes, absolutely. For example, I had if I want to speak about racism in the workplace and a white man has been racist towards me, I wouldn't specifically go to a white therapist about it, because she's not her specifically, but she's part of a larger group that is enabling that behavior.
White privilege.
So I'd probably, that's it.
It's like
I'd probably go speak about, like, my problems to a woman of the global majority.
It's like,
she doesn't have to be my nationality.
If you don't think you have white privilege, sorry, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, so it's like, I think if, for example, I'm having problems with working in very male-dominated industry, being a woman, being a minority, being young. So my therapist now she's Brazilian and was in the army.
Yeah, cool.
So she, like, understands.
She gets it.
She understands where a lot of my problems are coming from, where a lot of my insecurities are coming from. However, a therapist who has been, like, who has just been a therapist and doesn't have any previous experience. I'm sure, obviously, therapists are qualified, I hope. People who have studied this.
Sorry, can I just say, in this country, you have to be registered with a governing body. We'll get onto it again, but there are many, many rogue cats out there.
Yeah.
You need to be registered with a governing body if you want to be there's different ones for counsellors. However, if you want to be a psychotherapist, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist, you need to be registered with the British Psychological Association. Or the Healthcare Professions Council. Let that be that. Please.
Amen.
Just because you have a fucking psychology degree does not make you a psychologist.
Yep.
Let that be known. I saw that on Instagram the other day. There was this woman that was on The Traitors, and she was on the TV show The Traitors, but she was on my For You page for some reason, so I was like, oh, I'll give her a stalk, why not? And she literally has in her bio psychologist. I googled it, and she did an undergrad.
Oh my God.
Because I checked on the Healthcare Professions Council, no mention of her name. I checked on the British Psychological Association, no mention of her name. And she just did an undergrad at UCL.
Yeah.
It doesn't even say in what. So, please, if you are going into this kind of field, be registered.
Be registered.
Because it's fraud.
Ooh.
And you will.
Get arrested.
I mean, I don't think you'll go to prison, but you'll get in a lot of fucking trouble.
Anyway, yeah, so I think therapy, if you find the right person,
yeah,
it can be really good. But I have also had horrendous therapists.
I hated it. I think...
And hated it. And, like, just...
if I'm honest, though, I wasn't ready for it. Like, I found it very exposing.
Yeah.
I was... Because, like, how old was I? About, like, 19 or 20.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so, obviously, I don't know... You know what happened. Anyway.
I know what happened, but I didn't know...
have some personal shit happen in my life.
Wow,
And basically, in order for me to go back to university, I had to get better. Anyway, so interestingly, I had a man.
I always have a woman.
So my mum, bless her heart, she paid for it, and basically she is a forensic psychologist. But she was like, he's the leading expert in this field.
That's so
like,
fair.
obviously he works for where I was going. So, like, yeah, she was just like, he's a leading expert in the field. He's so-and-so's friend, friend, sort of like business acquaintance, yeah, let's go with that. We just need to get you better. And obviously I didn't know anything about, really picking your therapist. I think my mum was kind of in fix-it mode, shall we say.
Yeah,
so she wasn't really telling me the advice that you are saying, which is obviously true, which is like, if you don't really like your therapist, you can find another one, or if you find the one that suits you, so on and so forth. But yeah, I found it very exposing. I was very young, and I literally was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
That's so fair.
I literally missed like loads of appointments, and then he emailed my mum and he was like, is she okay? And then my mum was like, yeah, she's fine. Why? And he was like, oh, she just hasn't been to appointments in a couple of weeks. Oh my God. Yeah. Hellfire from my mother. Like, don't get me wrong, I was in so much trouble.
Yeah.
So much fucking trouble. But I think as well, like, with therapy particularly, I felt like it was something I had to do to get better.
Yeah.
And obviously I was quite young, I was still kind of going through my journey of self-love, so I guess I didn't really see the value in it particularly.
I think it's ironic how now you're working in
in the field. I mean, like mother, like daughter, really. But yeah, I felt like I didn't really get it, because again, I was just like, this is something I have to do, and I wasn't ready. It just felt like a prerequisite to be able to, I suppose, get back on with my life.
Yeah, and I think also it's just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for anyone. Like, I remember when I started therapy at 15, it was so great because I obviously couldn't talk to my parents because they were the problem, but then my brother and my sister were too young, so I couldn't not confide in them, but it's like, they're babies, they're not going to understand, so I found it easier to speak to a stranger versus my sister, who was a social butterfly.
That's really common though.
Yeah, my sister was like a social butterfly, and she obviously had friends to tell these things to, and she wouldn't necessarily tell me, but she didn't feel the need to go to a therapist. She was like, it's useless, why would I tell a stranger my problems?
I'm the same though. I'm exactly the same. Like, my support network is so good. Like, my family around me are amazing. So I literally am like, why am I going to tell this fucking stranger?
Yeah, I think for me though,
fuck that up.
Now that I do have a support system that I can trust and can speak about these things, a lot of it is finding the unbiased aspect of it that I seek. Yeah. Like, I need you to tell me this problem.
And I suppose the techniques as well, needing to remedy it. Like, none of us are professionals.
Because obviously I could tell you about a boy, because I'm telling you the bad things of the boy. You naturally just
side with you.
Hate him.
Yeah.
And you side with me. Obviously, I'm probably not perfect. I probably have some part of the issue, whether I've told you or not.
But it's kind of irrelevant, because I think when sort of it's basically called invested interest. Like, obviously, me as
Yeah.
your friend, I have invested interest in you.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm hearing it from you. So
But-
then that's kind of already going in with a set of biases that is like
he's the villain in the story.
not necessarily the villain,
No,
but
he's
like,
obviously
but as well there are probably bits that just naturally you may have exaggerated, or just naturally he perceived it in a completely different way.
yeah.
So it's and that's even true with like self-love, is that like you perceive something to be the case because you've told yourself the story and you are seeing it through a certain lens. And particularly with self-love, we see things through the lens based on our experiences. So obviously your sort of self-love journey is much more about sort of physicality, because those were the messages, that was your upbringing, and that was kind of like I said, the lens that you're going with it from. Mine was kind of more about my behaviour, I suppose, what success means and looks like, as well as sort of like other aspects about sort of like not being so hard on myself, being a bit kinder to myself, because again, that's like your childhood, that's where that's come from, kind of thing. So a lot of self-love is very personal, purely because of that fact. Like, what environment did you grow up in? What were your parents like? Were you bullied? You know, was there any adverse childhood experiences? It's all very much based on A, how you view yourself, but B, how you view yourself because of how your parents treated you.
Yeah, so I think going back now to therapy and speaking of these problems, I can sort of trust that my therapist will say your feelings are valid, or, you know, they do have a point because A, B, and C.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
so it's I think now I seek it more. I'm over therapized. I'm gonna say it, like, a lot of the times I do the own therapy myself, but I think I need the therapist to say, your brain is tricking you into having anxiety about this, or your feelings are valid. And
but at the end of the day, that's literally what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's your brain telling you certain messages, and like, in order to kind of go on this journey, and in order to sort of have healthy view of yourself, you do actually have to tell your brain. You have to go, no, brain, or that's not true, brain, or that's just this talking, or this talking, or this talking. Like, actually, brain, I'm going to tell myself this or that, or like literally flipping the perspective. Whether it's like, you know, something you did wrong, it's like, okay, brain, no, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm going to see the lessons, see the positives, take a learning experience. Or like, you're looking in the mirror and you're like, God, I look like my 600-pound life. You're like, no.
Yeah, that's
You're like,
literally
no, my
that's
600
literally
pound
what I
life.
have to do. My therapist was like, every time, to hold accountability to yourself, every time you have a negative thought about yourself, yell stop.
Or ask
I've
yourself
caught
why.
myself saying stop, even in something that I didn't like. While cooking breakfast, I put too much butter, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, fat babe." It's like, stop, and I've said stop. I think one day it was like 10 times, and I was like, "This is so mean."
If that helps you
Pause
get through it,
yeah.
But I think, that sort of mechanism of stop needs to come with sort of self-reflection.
Oh my god,
So why am I actually telling myself this? You know, where is this coming from? Am I, for example, maybe about to start my period and there's all these hormones and I'm bloated, or this or that, and I'm being slightly harder on myself? Or have I maybe had a hard day at work and these feelings are coming out as sort of like, I guess, self-punishment or self-chastisation?
or I'm exhausted.
Exactly that, and I'm kind of like completely on edge. And a lot of it is like almost to like flagellate ourselves, should we say, like full on fucking the Da Vinci Code with that albino fucker, where he's got the. This is a very strange analogy. Anyway, if anybody's seen the Da Vinci Code, do you remember that albino?
I saw it so long ago.
Fucking called?
I think something else that regarding therapy, there's different types of therapy, and it works different for different people and different things. Because I think. For me, I've spoken about multiple things, but I found that just talking therapies, like counselling, was not good. So someone recommended cognitive behavioural therapy.
Silas.
And that's...
Sorry, that was the albino from the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, and so depending on what the topic that you have to talk about, there might be a different therapy style or approach to it. And I think that comes with research. I think a lot of research also... it helps with self-love as well.
Yeah, you definitely have to, because like, say for example that your quote-unquote self-hatred is like behavioural, you'll probably need like CBT or whether it's just like you say, like just kind of about maybe the messages you tell yourself or your self-image, you'll probably be okay with like counselling or maybe, or if it's like maybe slightly deeper rooted, you're probably like gonna need like psychotherapy or something.
Yeah.
Obviously to like rewire some brain chemistry.
Yeah. Now, do your research. Find people that are actually registered with all the medical things that Miss Thing here has named earlier in the episode.
I'm not going to get so... I'm going to try to refrain from getting so passionate about
it's
this.
Fine. We love that you love this.
It's fucking infuriating.
Yeah, like the amount of TikTok people and like life coaches that we see on social media because they're profiting off of someone else's insecurities,
like
vulnerabilities.
It actually makes my fucking piss boil because, like, don't get me wrong, I do not think that quote unquote life coaches or sort of well-being gurus or whatever the fuck these
you want to call it
charlatans are.
Charlatans. Los charlatanes.
Sounds so much better with a Hispanic accent, I tell you. So much better with a Latin accent. She literally, side note, we're talking about Lucozade.
Lucozade.
Exactly that. How much better does that sound than Lucozade?
Hola papi, ¿tú quieres un Lucozade?
In my strange
I'm gonna
accent that I have.
Lucozade.
Lucozade.
What else did I say earlier when I got here?
Don't know.
Anyway.
Brain fog. But
Brain
yes,
fog.
I don't
Coffee
believe...
monsters.
I don't... Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm not going to sleep. I mean, what's new? I don't believe that, you know, these life coaches, well-being gurus, whatever else you want to call them. What are you showing me? Okay.
Anyway.
I mean, yes. So, we're showing each other TikToks. But, nonetheless. I don't believe any of these people go into the... Let's call it sort of the wellness industry, because at the end of the day, that's literally what it is. I don't believe that anybody goes into that being like, I want to take advantage of vulnerable people.
No.
I want to, you know, profit off of people that need help. I don't think anybody goes into it thinking that.
But it does definitely escalate into the power dynamic.
Absolutely, and it is completely, like you say, like the power imbalance as well. Like, you can clearly tell that these life coaches have absolutely no training whatsoever, because otherwise they would be like, actually, it probably isn't a good idea that I'm reaching out to vulnerable people and telling them that I'm going to change their life or anything like that. Because it also, as well, if they'd done their research, they would realise that you have to be a licensed professional to even discuss sort of things revolving around self-love. Do you know what I mean? And like actually love it, because it is a science and it isn't a science. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, self-love is a journey, and don't get me wrong, it is a thoroughfare that's stemmed from childhood. However, the experiences we have as children alter our brain chemistry to how we are as adults.
Sure.
Do you know the ins and outs of that? Are you able to diagnose somebody? Are you able to treat somebody?
And I think
as a life coach?
And I think sometimes you have so many clients where it's like, I don't believe you know enough about your 87 clients to dig deep and do that.
You need to do a full needs cognitive assessment, which they're not trained in. I think,
and they take time as well to analyse.
Hours to analyse somebody. Like, sometimes even multiple sessions over weeks.
Yeah.
Like, also as well, like, because life coaches are going at the angle of, I have done this, it's going to work for you. I've had some form of CBT, psychotherapy, whatever it is, maybe even drugs counselling, you know, AA, whatever, where I have done these techniques and basically, and they are going to work on you. Basically, that's so passionate. Life coaches go in with the idea that I am going to change. Yeah. You're right.
One size fits all.
I'm a one size fits all. False promises. I'm going to change your life.
Yeah.
Third one. I turn my life around. So can you.
You have no excuses.
When a therapist would go in with the idea that's like, okay, guys, let's be real. Life is shit. We're not always going to love ourselves, but let's try and make it a bit better day by day, which is
and let's find the tools
more
and resources together
that work for
that work for you specifically.
which is so much more realistic.
It's just nicer. What do you mean?
And as well,
it's
like,
tailored. It's tailored for you.
They've just done the training. They've just poured blood, sweat, and
Yeah.
tears. Not to hark on my mum, love of my life, Queen of England.
Honestly, I'd so vote for her to
I
be the Queen of
Fucking
England.
love this woman.
Can she like knight me?
I feel like she.
I'll
I
absolutely
feel like
take.
she'd do it.
I'd absolutely take the MBE if your mother
So,
did it. Anyway,
put
sorry,
it
go on.
this way: she went to university for 3 years and did a
3
3 years and did a psychology undergraduate. She then
Jesus.
went back to uni, not to do an academic forensic psychology degree, to do an applied master's, which gives you the right to practice at the end of it, okay? And she did that for 2 years, okay?
Mommy.
Which the qualification at the end of it registered her with the HCPC, which actually she's not been, which actually
I'm so sorry.
she's not been registered. Actually, to be fair, she's not been registered with the HCPC all of her professional life. She used to be registered with the British Psychological Association. Nonetheless, anyway, she's been registered with a governing body since she graduated from her masters. Okay, this is where people go wrong. You can do an academic masters that does not give you the right to practice. You have to do the applied qualification. Gives you the certificate. Says so and so has done the formal
done
training
this.
in order for them to practice. Then, the woman, the goddess herself, went back to do a PhD. Okay, so she
Slay.
is Doctor Forensic Psychology. Nonetheless, do you think that a life coach that has got their qualifications from Zoom can really do the work into the self-love abyss that it is to get you to where you need to be? I understand it's cheaper than traditional therapy, and I understand that traditional therapy doesn't work for everybody. However, please save your money, save your pennies, save your hardship. These people are not qualified.
Yeah, and a perfect example that we recently bonded
breath.
over.
Sorry, I need
Yeah.
to actually breathe because fuck me, it pisses me
Yeah,
off.
and I think we were chatting about this. We're both into true crime. I'm in my true crime era, by the way.
You what, sorry?
I'm in my true crime era.
I mean, it's my job, so...
Yeah, but you
Kind
still anyway. We both watched the Psychopath Life Coach. I think hold on.
It's either called like my life coach is a psychopath, or the
Lewis
psychopathic life coach.
Raymond Taylor.
What's it called?
The Psychopath. Hold on. He has it on his Instagram. The Psychopath Life Coach.
Oh,
So
my
you're like
God.
profiting over the fact that you are a diagnosed psychopath.
Like,
Anyway, so this man was like,
he was on this Netflix show called The Psychopath Life Coach, don't get me wrong. And he is genuinely diagnosed with
Gracie.
antisocial personality disorder.
Gracie man. He used to get into a lot of trouble, drugs, fights,
Went to prison.
multiple times, and
He went to rehab as well.
he went to rehab. Like, and then obviously, good for him. He recovered.
Yeah,
But again, he is approaching this with a one size fits all.
yeah. He said he took what he learned from his drugs counselling and from his sort of therapy sessions and turned it, what was it called, the coaching masters, and turned it into
Oh my god, with
this,
his bestie.
and turned it into this like £1 million coaching.
Is it like £25 million?
I mean, don't
First
get me wrong,
year.
like first
Fucking hell.
4 years or something, and it was marketed at 25 million. Like, don't get me wrong,
Good business.
fucking hell, well done. Like, that's really impressive. And basically, he was coaching people to be coaches. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think it was. I think
It was very confusing what they did, which again, not good marketing. If I am confused by what your business is, sort it out.
Mm-hmm.
So he was coaching people to be coaches and open their own practices as sort of, oh god, life
I think
coaches.
it started off as him life coaching, but then obviously he saw the market gap of help like
Yeah.
people becoming coaches. So, I
So it's
think
like a
that's where it
train
went.
it's like a train the trainer package
Yeah.
where he coaches people to be life coaches, and there's all these people on this show where they're like crying, going, he fucking changed my life, da ba da ba da ba. However, okay, this was stated in the show, and this is very fucking true, right? So people with antisocial personality disorders brain functions on another plane of existence to ourselves. Okay, that is why a high proportion of psychopaths, aka antisocial personality disorders, are CEOs, own their own businesses, and are quite sort of ambitious. You know, they are sort of the front runners, shall we say, of sort of the, I guess, whatever realm you want to say, the business world, because they have no empathy, so they don't care about making difficult decisions, and oftentimes their brain speed is a lot faster than ours because we're worrying about things that they're not even giving a shit
Fuck
about. So, with that in mind, he is selling, shall we say, this package that is based on the way that his brain functions, which I would say is levels above
ahead of
anybody
anyone
else's.
else.
Like, for example, like, don't get me wrong, let's say Einstein, one of the smartest people in the world, he's not a psychopath, but people with antisocial personality disorders brain functions on some levels, I would say, even above theirs, right?
Mhm.
They're incredibly intelligent, they're incredibly manipulative, and that's not to say that, you know, there aren't many psychopaths in the world where they are perfectly normal, as in they lead normal lives, they
Yeah.
haven't committed crime. However,
I think I think just profiting and using that power dynamic just doesn't sit right with
no,
me,
not at all,
which
me
is
either.
where the issue comes. Like, how?
He
Like-
sells it as this coaching masters will change your life.
It changed mine. But, like,
It changed
why are you going to tell
mine.
me I've never done drugs? Why are you using that treatment on me?
But also as well, you're a business owner. So of course your life is changed. You've got a £25 million business. You live in fucking Bali. Do you know
Oh
what
my god, that's something else that really pissed me off.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
you
and his
cannot sell the dream of this changed my life. You are the business
owner.
owner. You know, you are reaching so many more people. And as well, he reaches out to vulnerable people who are
Yeah.
down on their luck,
Who
who hate their life for whatever reason, whether it's job,
Yeah.
marriage, whatever.
Who is sort of, I don't know if you've seen it. The other one is Escaping Twin Flames.
Yes,
That's another
very
one.
similar.
Very similar in the sense of, like, I have this. This is how
Yeah,
I
this
met
is how
my
my
girlfriend,
relationship
and this
functions.
is how we
Yours
do
does
this,
too.
and you have to watch every single show, every
Yeah.
single episode,
And pay thousands.
and thousands and
That's-
thousands and
that's
thousands
the
for
thing.
you to start your practice.
That's the bit that I hate, is
Yeah.
because, don't get me wrong, therapy is expensive, you know, and it
Yeah,
takes a
but-
long time to love yourself, and it is expensive to love
it's
yourself.
a journey.
It's very expensive to
It's
love
a
yourself.
journey.
However, this is thousands and thousands of pounds for classes
Yeah, that
classes.
you have to take
you have to continually take.
in order to have, like, which is
I think somebody said
Absolutely
for that.
mad.
I think somebody said for that twin flame thing, which actually is very relevant to this because it is all about self-love,
self-love.
and finding your twin flame and this and that. And if you don't love yourself, how are you going to find your twin flame? I think somebody said, like, in the first, like,
and also the gaslighting that went on in that.
oh my god, that was
That was
horrific. Oh my god, it made me
horrendous.
feel sick. Like, I think she said, like, within the first 2 years of her joining Twin Flame, she spent about $30,000.
Which I don't have.
That's
As, like,
that's literally like my yearly salary. Not dollars, but you know.
yeah, but, like, wow, like, that on that.
Yeah, one of them was like saying she was like, I was selling this to be able to pay for classes.
Fuck that.
I moved to be able to pay for classes.
And I
it's
wonder
like,
how, like, and thinking of it, I was like, how bad would I have to be in that situation? Like, how
well, people were
how
saying,
vulnerable
people
would I
were
have to be
saying-
to, like, be able to, like, fall for that? Because
Like,
right now
one
in
of
my
the-
mind, I'm like, I would never.
but it's so weird because we always say you would never, you would never, you would never. But all it takes, one of the women was saying, like, I never thought I was part of a cult, but I
Yeah.
got out of an abusive relationship. And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Like the people of Jonestown. Is it Jonestown? Yeah, Jonestown. Yeah. People of Jonestown, like Jim Jones. One of them said that she lost her job and she was like looking for answers. That's all those people. That's
wild.
literally all those people are. And the same thing with this coaching masters thing. At the end of the day, that's all people are looking for. They want someone to give them the answers. And if somebody is there with a fucking Rolex telling them,
I can change your life.
I can change your life. I drive a Maserati. I live in fucking Dubai or like Bali or wherever. Shut the fuck up. I live in one of these amazing countries. You can too.
Yeah.
No, just because this self-love journey worked for you does not. It probably is, to be fair.
I'd also try to do tax evasion with $25 million company.
Like as well. I feel like the sort of business laws in Bali are probably a bit fast and loose.
There's probably like some form of tax avoidance of like maybe managing his money.
I mean, there is illegal tax avoidance. Don't get me wrong, but there's definitely something fishy there.
Oh,
and like on that show,
knowing with that behavior, like I found that show so funny because obviously it's one episode, but it's like an hour and a half, and I want to say about the first hour was him just chatting shit about himself, shooting himself in the foot, saying how bad of a person he is. And then the remaining 30 is like, here's my business and my girlfriend.
But you know what makes me die is because literally he
thinks it's a sales point. I'm just like...
Yeah, so he clearly went on that show for a sell point. He literally went on that show for a sell point. And like, I could so see how hard he was trying to get the audience, us, the viewer, to warm to him. He was like, look guys, I hold my hands up. I was horrible. I was this. I was that. I own up to my mistakes. Did he once say sorry? No. Like, he was literally like, guys, I hold my hands up. I was horrible. I was a bad guy. I didn't like myself. I did not, literally, I'm not even going to lie.
Did not once feel bad for him.
I meet many psychopaths in my life. Yeah. Met many. However, did my blood run cold? Yes. Did I get the feeling I get every time I meet a psychopath? Yes. Like,
oh my God. I texted you and I was like, this is what the fuck is this?
Like, I did not warm to that man at all. I just sat there looking at him like,
and then his girlfriend said, does he have
is he a psychopath? Yes.
No, does he... I don't think he's a psychopath. He just happens to have some psychopathic traits.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
What is
that?
When there was literally a psychologist on the TV show.
A celebrity psychologist who meets all these people.
Who literally said, the celebrity psychologist said, he went, yes, I would diagnose Lewis Raymond Taylor with antisocial personality disorder. He is, I think he said something along the lines of like, he is psychopath 101. Do you know what I mean? And she was like, oh my God, she made me laugh when she was like, it's a spectrum. Don't we all have psychopathic tendencies? No, we don't, bitch. And I think as well, like, she's partly to blame because she's so blinded by
the money.
Well, the money and also the personality. He was handsome. He was charming. He is very successful. I'm not denying that.
But I can read him like a book, and if I met him at a pub, I'd be like,
I'd be scared.
I'd be not even scared. I'd just be like, get the fuck out. Like, if he was chatting me up, I'd deck him.
I don't even think he would, though, because he's too
cocky.
Like, exactly.
I wouldn't be into him
like
anyway.
I think those with antisocial personality disorders, they have that holier than thou sort of perspective. They're like, I don't need to go up to people. People come up to me.
They probably go to clubs that we don't go to.
Sure.
Like Mayfair.
And like literally, he fucking like, there was this one guy who was waiting in a taxi queue, and he literally fucking lamped him, and he got a brain hemorrhage. For no reason.
Yeah.
No, I think the guy so he pushed Lewis Raymond Taylor.
Taylor Raymond.
So he pushed in the queue of the taxi queue, and then this poor bloke, this unsuspecting victim, just literally went, "Oi, mate!" And then he lamped him, brain hemorrhage. He literally went,
I did it.
He went, I did it, and I held my hands up and waited for the police. Why? Because I knew I'd been banged to rights. Because he obviously was caught on CCTV. There was millions of witnesses. Not because he felt bad for lamping somebody because he pushed in the queue. Like, he was like, I knew I was caught. And he was like, and he literally admitted, he was like, was I sorry because I got caught? Yeah. I was like,
it's fucking crazy.
I was like, babe, these people are not going to warm to you because of that. Like,
and this is what...
And now he's using it as a marketable ploy, so in his bio it says psychopath coach.
And honestly, thank God that this man came on Netflix for an hour and a half and said these things, because we now have access to what he's done. But imagine the amount of life coaches on TikTok that are not saying these stories. Like, where did you come from? Like what?
Yeah,
like
where-
are
where-
you enabling
where's your-
behavior? Like
Where's
what?
your license?
Where's your
these,
license?
What are these
have you
practices?
done?
What are these practices rooted in?
What have you done? What makes you good leaders? Is it the fact that you were a drug addict?
Because there's so
Or-
much. Because obviously where sort of self-love comes into it, it's so personal. So if you find something that, you know, it might not be in a psychology manual, it might not be CBT, and it might not even be sort of like literally like you said, it might not be affirmations, it might just be something that you have found that works for you. If it's sort of doing your hair every morning that makes you feel good, or you know, getting dressed every morning that makes you feel good. Don't get me wrong, that's in no psychology manual. However,
Yeah.
if it works for you, it works for you. However,
But
the
it's
problem,
a process.
the problem that comes is when you start professing that these things are going to suddenly make you love yourself and care about yourself, and you're suddenly going to feel so much better. That may be true. Is it going to solve all your problems? No.
Is it going to solve other people's problems? Because I know I couldn't come to you with my process to get you out of bed on a rough day, and
Absolutely.
vice versa.
You know what? I haven't got dressed in days. I'm not going to lie. Do I feel okay? Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm a bit smelly, but other than that,
I didn't notice.
do I feel okay? Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, does sort of me being kind to myself and saying like, okay, at least you're sat at your desk and, you know, at least you've done some work. It may not be all this, but you're tired, so, you know, go at your own pace. Is that
Yeah.
going to work for you? No.
No.
Am I on TikTok saying it's going to work for you? No.
No.
And I understand where these people are coming from. They want to share their message with the world, as we all do. They want to help people, essentially,
Which is fine.
which is totally fine.
But if you want to help people get registered,
You-
get proper license.
But also as well, if you want to help people, you need to preface it with, this works for me.
Yeah.
Try it. It might
Yeah.
work for you. If it doesn't, don't go in with the bias of, like we said, I am going to change your life.
Yeah.
You
those
are
false
suddenly
promises.
all your problems are going to melt away. You're suddenly going to love yourself, because that's when you run into tricky water.
Yeah.
No psychologist would ever
Say
go
that.
into a session and say, I'm going to help you change your life.
And if they do,
Run.
How do
Go-
you dust yourself off?
Go onto the HCPC website, or
Mhm.
go onto the British Psychological Association, because you can look them up.
That's
Much
so
like,
cool. I don't think
much-
you can do that in America.
well, you can do it for dentists and doctors.
Yeah, you
So
can.
like
I
if
know
you're
that.
yeah, you can do it for psychologists.
Oh.
Yeah, Google them.
Ooh.
Any licensed psychologist would say their governing body in their bio.
Yeah.
So like if you're on like a therapy website or a clinic location,
Yeah.
is clinic the right word? I don't know. Like a clinic location or something. The psychologists that are on there they're supposed to have who they're registered with in their bio. So it would say like Dr. Smith, registered with X body, has
Yeah.
been trained in has this
Yeah.
qualification and specialises in such and such and such.
Do your research.
That's what they're supposed to be. I think, to be fair. Also as well, one piece of advice, we can all give advice, you don't have to be licensed to say that. Let's get real with ourselves. And I think you need to get real with yourself too. You out there, you lovely listener.
Lovely single listener.
Because like we say, don't be so hard on yourself and be realistic. Like we said, there are some days where you are genuinely going to feel like shit on somebody's shoe.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And it's about celebrating the little things. The way that you celebrate the big, job, not upgrade. What's promotion. The way that you celebrate your birthday. Celebrate the fact that you got up and brushed your teeth this morning.
Hell yeah.
Celebrate the fact that you brushed your hair this morning.
That's how you dust yourself off.
Yeah, celebrate the fact that you changed the clothes. Was it from one sweatpant to another sweatpant? Yes.
Me. Me. I'll
You
shower.
working from home.
I'll shower and literally I'll be in my leggings and I'll be like, I want my pink leggings today.
Or also,
That's
give
how
yourself
I work.
grace. Give yourself grace. You
I
didn't
think-
shave today. That's absolutely
Oh
fine.
god, it's been weeks.
It's
been
been
84
84 years, and I have a dick appointment next week, and I'm like,
Oh, I miss having dick appointments. That's how you dust yourself off, girls,
dick
gays and
appointments.
days.
That
dick appointments.
again, if you're ready for that, dick appointments.
Fine. I think
But sorry, go on.
tracking your progress. We forget to do that so much. Because
I'm the first one.
yeah, me too actually.
I'm the
Because-
first one to forget.
Because life is so go, 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 and if you work, there are so many pressures at work where it's like deadline, and lots of times people forget to sort of praise you for, I suppose, little things, but honestly, praise yourself. Get a goal tracking app. Get a journaling app.
Or get a gold star.
Oh my god, a gold sticker.
Like, I think that's so, like, gold
Take
stars.
away, like, if you fit, like, if you're financially inclined, maybe buy yourself a new piece
Little
of clothing, makeup,
Treat yourself.
takeaway, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
track your progress. That's how you stay in the self-love.
Yeah.
Is actually, like we just said, the very basic fact of giving yourself self-love.
Yeah.
Pat on the back, you know. Okay, maybe I'll finish a bit earlier today because I'm like done really well or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, I'll take a little long lunch. Oh fucking hell, I love a long lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, love a long
Yes.
lunch. Oof, yeah. It's like apparently in China it's called mo yu, which is where it's like where you're slacking off.
More you.
MOYU, but I
Mo
can't say
yu.
it because I don't have like a Cantonese dialect.
More you.
I say mo yu,
Mo you.
but it's obviously
That's so cute.
it's like pronounced like mo yu. I can't do it because I don't have the dialect.
Yeah.
But it's basically like quote unquote slacking off, like because they work fucking crazy hours in China. I watched it. Basically, it's a Vice documentary. It's really good.
Oh, another one.
And they work crazy hours, and basically, like, yeah, they do 9 to 9 p.m. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week.
Yeah, there's a lot
So-
of suicide rates in China and
Oh,
Japan because of
huge.
that.
So like the Gen Z culture or Gen X, whichever one's after us,
Yeah.
they are doing this tradition called like Mo Yu, which is like basically slacking off. So if the boss isn't texting you or there's no meeting or there's no emergency, it's literally like taking a long lunch, going with your colleagues to get coffee and stuff, because they're kind of the opinion, they're like, well, I'm fucking here anyway till 9 p.m. I might as well
More you.
do it more you. There you go.
Yeah. Wow.
What's your favourite self-love tip?
I think one that multiple, based on the therapies that I have gone to, is having. One of them was stare at myself for 10 seconds and find something I like.
I would fucking struggle. I'm not gonna lie, I would fucking struggle.
I really struggled because for me it's
I
like
can barely look at myself in my pants. I fucking hate it.
but which is
I get
why
out
I
of the
was
shower. I get out of the shower and I literally like turn away and I'm like,
which is why it's 10 seconds. Because I think my issue is when it's
that'd
when
be the
I
longest
start
seconds of my life.
it's when I start looking and it's like
Yeah,
I think
no,
10
I'd be the
seconds-
same. I'd be the same.
10 seconds like gives you enough time to think but not push further.
I can
It's like,
tolerate.
I like my
tolerate
hair
myself.
today. It's really pretty, and then I'd go. It's like, oh, but my hair's like I'm really hairy. Have a mustache. Like so, I think
I
the
can
10
tolerate
seconds, like,
myself in my pants, and that's it.
Yeah, like I think the 10 seconds. Or also, I write on my mirror.
Oh, that's cool.
I write with like a marker, and I say, like, right now I have
like a whiteboard marker.
yeah.
Oh,
right
that's
now I
cool.
have like I think therefore I am.
Come on, Maya Angelou.
Yeah, like
I
But
think she did say that. I think it was her quote.
I don't even know. But I was just like, listen, that's the quote of the day because I think therefore I am. So it's very much, I like it because it's so vague that I could either take it into like very bad
Me
anywhere, but I think because I have the context of my therapist told me,
it's Latin.
I'm screaming. Maya Angelou versus
Maya
Latin.
Angelou.
Maya Angelou.
I swear she said it.
Um,
It's I take it that's cogito.
Cogito.
So I think that
Cogito ergo sum.
that means therefore I am.
I think therefore I am.
Oh, so it's Rene Descartes.
Yeah,
That's
so
who it
I think having a little
Come
quote-
on, Renee.
Come on. I think
Come on, Rene Descartes.
having a little message for myself, even just like, hello, gorgeous. Just something, it sounds so silly, but honestly, having like that I think therefore I am on my mirror really helps. Because it helps switch that alternative to my negative thinking into positive. It's like, well, I think
Interestingly, my favourite quote is by the icon that is Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
oh my gosh, no one's asked me a question in 45 minutes.
Do anything in your life, anything you want, just be outrageous. Love it.
You know what, I
Love
kind of like that.
She said it. She said it at like a fucking like BAFTA acceptance speech, I think, and she was like, "I want to thank my mum who said I could do anything I wanted as long as I did it outrageously or I was outrageous." And I was like, "That is me. That speaks to my personality."
Yeah.
Haven't written on my mirror yet, but we'll get there.
It's kind of like a good idea in the bathroom because you forget about it and then you go pee and wash your hands and you're like,
Love it.
hello.
I might start doing that.
It's really cute and like
That's
Even if
what
it's
that's
like an
what self love,
affirmation.
isn't it? It's like sharing tips. It's not
Yeah.
it's not preaching. It's not giving like forcing something down somebody's throat. It's giving
Yeah.
a tip and,
And
saying try it.
maybe we'll meet up after Christmas, and she'll be like, I fucking hate it.
I need to actually get a whiteboard marker first.
I fucking hate it. You know, but that's
I
fine.
like it. It's
That's
like
fine.
a little pet
And
talk.
that self-love to each other turns into the love that we have for our friendship.
I'm trying to think what my favourite self-love tip is. I think, probably for me personally, doing like yoga or Pilates, because sometimes I can be really slack with it, and like it's always those moments where I'm like, fucking hell, come on, you can do it. You know, I have like, so I always do it like around like 9:30 or something, because obviously it's just before bed. I've got the whole evening to relax. I don't feel like I have to do it before dinner, or I have to do it straight after dinner. I have to let I can let the food settle, I can just chill, and then like sometimes I really have to like force myself to do it, like literally like peel myself to go to my partner, tell me to do it, remind me to do it, and then I've done it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, bam.
Yeah. And you don't have, your self-love doesn't have to
And I feel
by yourself.
sexy.
Yeah. And you don't have to
I
use your support network to do those self-love things. Like, even though, you know.
I love getting glam as well.
Yeah.
And
I think, honestly, that's something else.
I don't just do it for the sake of. It's always if I'm going somewhere or going out. But sometimes when an outfit's just laying right and your makeup is just looking chef's kiss,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
Listen, sometimes I just hang out in my, like, the best lingerie, turn on the red light, and just chill on my phone. I don't look.
can't stand myself.
I don't look at myself in the mirror, but just a feeling of
Just
it.
that feeling, absolutely.
The feeling of the thong being a mile up my ass is
I think
it's
one of those,
fantastic.
like having a new piece of clothing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, trying something new. I feel good.
Yeah.
But I think that definitely speaks to sort of the self-love journey we are on.
Like, I do
Mine's
like,
behaviour.
it's been a very long self journey, and I'm sure it has. I have such a long way. Like,
You always will, though.
You always will. Like, you know, once, like, I'll probably get the menopause and have another mental breakdown about my body. Like,
my mum did.
Yeah, there we go. Like, you know, and life changes. I'll probably have a baby, and like
Hate myself.
my boobs.
That is-
it might be the other way around. I might learn
That's
how to
what I'm saying.
appreciate my body more.
I am fucking terrified.
Oh my god, I can't have bigger boobs. I might kill myself.
I don't think they make bras big enough.
I couldn't. Sorry, I just have to.
I'm
work
talking about
from home.
myself there, by the way, not you.
No, but honestly,
I don't think they
they
make big enough.
I'd have to like bandage my boobs every day.
I'd have to carry them in a wheelbarrow.
Honestly?
Self-love!
Self-love.
Carry,
But it's also,
carry your
listen,
titties in a wheelbarrow.
It's not pretty. Self-love is going through the good, the bad, the ugly, and finding the right people to
Yeah,
hold you on the
absolutely.
days that you need a little more help, and that's all.
Self-love, ultimately, is learning.
Yeah.
And that is period.
That's on period.
That's your advice for the day. Self-love is just learning. Come on, Renee, it's Kurt.
Oh my
Just
god. Anyway,
Right, that's it now. We're done, because
We're done.
otherwise we'll go feral.
yeah.
Don't buy a life coach course online. Go to a licensed therapist and
Love yourself.
express yourself.
Express yourself.